2 years ago, I started my first serious relationship at 23 in my last semester of college for 8 months and ended 3 months after graduation. She was out of school, younger than me, bit more of a partying type, very gregarious and friends with most of her exes. On the flip side, she had some passive-aggressive tendencies, used drugs, flirty with other guys, and wasn't very grounded at the time. But I figured, well, she's only 19 and taking a year off. I was really into her and thought maybe this could be a long-term thing. As for me, I was getting off a rough time with law school rejections, becoming less interested in the party scene and figuring out what I really wanted to do after college. Unfortunately, I threw myself in this relationship, put more investment in the relationship than she did and even less in my best interests. For example, I met her parents, family on multiple occasions for hours at a time. But when it came time to meet my family at my graduation, she stayed for maybe 5 minutes before getting on the phone with nobody and left saying she had to be somewhere. She ditched. I won't get into too many details about the last 3 months to keep this short. Basically, after I graduated in May, I had a job in my college town where she was during summer 2011. Things looked okay at first, but quickly changed after the first week all my college friends left town. I had a firefighting job where I was constantly away, and I didn't really fit in with the crew while still lingering on what to do with my life and trying to deal with that anxiety. Then, I caught her cheating in a really fucked up way when I was drunk, but I still took her back. At the time, I didn't really think I had much going on except that relationship. Of course, the relationship turned into a gamey, back and forth manner. She always talked about talking to other guys and I was guilt-tripping her, acting paranoid and stalkerish. I'm already socially awkward, introverted, and hanging out with her partying friends made it worse because I couldn't really relate anymore. We officially broke up in September after I looked at her phone saying she made out with an ex then gave another guy a 6 at MBJ. I stopped talking to her for 2 years after a text argument in December and I sank into a bad depression living at my parents' house. It took me over a year plus therapy to work through. So, skip to a few days ago. I've been in a healthy relationship for the last year and a half with someone who's older, 33, female. I was an EMT on an Indian res for 8 months until our crew got laid off before the shutdown. I've been busy looking at school again for GIS, resource conservation, figuring out unemployment, and doing temp jobs. In the middle of this last week, my ex unexpectedly commented on a photo of mine on Flickr, which said, "This photo reminds me of the iPod you gave me. I just fixed it a few weeks ago. Really cool pic." She also created a profile. I talked with my GF about this and decided to ignore it. Then, while I'm working yesterday, my ex texts me saying she had my number in an old FB message wanting to see how I was doing. I keep it casual, then I ask her why she's contacting me now. She found some of my things I gave her when we were dating and started thinking about me more than usual. She wants to know if we can hang out to watch her rugby team, insisting that she's not the selfish monster you used to date. I tell her I can't because it's not fair to my GF to hang out with an ex and it's not good for me. She says it's in platonic interests and wants to apologize. I tell her not to worry about it. I made bad mistakes and decisions too and I've moved forward. She keeps persisting about it and finally says, "I'll stop texting if you have zero interest in seeing me and mean it." Then I say, "I have zero interest in seeing you and I mean it. I wish you all the best." Followed by, "I knew you had spiteful honesty in you. You can't blame a girl for putting herself out there and trying to be nice. I'll be at the rugby games if you change your mind. Stay classy." She followed up with a text message a few hours later while I'm talking to my GF despite the harsh rejection. "I'm really glad I talked to you. I'm happy you're doing well." The whole exchange came off passive-aggressively, and I started to feel the same shitty, confused way I felt 2 years ago and have since then. I don't know what to do. I've been sitting with it, not sure if her texts were sincere and honest or if I was being manipulated into some ulterior motive. My GF says I did the right thing, but I need another opinion. I want to be a good person and maybe bury that hatchet. I'm just not sure if she's changed or it's worth it. Story 2. Ex texted me out of the blue almost a year after breakup. Our breakup was really tough last September. After a year and a half of dating and going through the motions of planning a very real future together, she dropped me like a sack of shit and treated me awfully on the few brief interactions we had during and after the breakup. I felt like a total write-off. I decided to work through it and mourn the best I could, try to improve myself to recover. I quit drinking alcohol entirely, used to drink way too much, got in great shape, rebounded from the loss of a great job. And though I'm not dating, I feel like I've grown considerably. Just trying to focus on being patient, grateful, and a bit more in tune with my spirituality. It hasn't been perfect, but I think I'm doing okay all things considered, especially coming out of the pandemic winter and dealing with the untimely death of a very dear friend at the same time. Last week, out of the blue, my ex texted me and told me she'd been thinking of me. She was acting as if nothing had ever happened and being very nice. I was thrilled to hear from her and had a brief exchange of a few messages. I ended up telling her if she could get free and wanted to catch up, she should let me know. It'd be great to see her. She said something along the lines of she definitely would. A few days later, I sent her a little conversation starter text. Nothing too important. What did I get in return? Silence. Nothing. Boy, that hurt at first. I was so disappointed. It took me about 24 hours of feeling bummed and anxious to actually realize that this was not my fault. She was showing me who she was and that she was careless. She hadn't reached out to me for me. She'd done it for her. She's probably trying to make herself feel better about something else going on in her life and falling back on the guy who she left for some kind of validation. I finally got a simple reply from her a few days later. Something that took probably 5 seconds to type and send. Instead of feeling elated when I saw it, I felt almost nothing. She gave me the gift of showing me the truth. She's not the wonderful person I thought she was. And this wasn't something I could beat myself up for. She's just another person who is flawed and inconsistent. Exactly the kind of person I've learned to recognize and distance myself from. She will get a thank you from me in the form of being left unanswered. There's nothing to say. There's literally no reason to catch up, meet, or even speak to each other again. I'm finally free. I've moved on. And I've learned so much about showing myself love through better choices since everything fell apart with her. Today is a good day. Wherever you are in your breakup, hang in there. Everyone heals on their own time. Pain is such a catalyst for growth. Use it the best you can, a little bit at a time.